Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to call the Tuesday, October 24th, 2023 Finance, Audit, and Budget Committee to order. First item is Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next item is adoption of the agenda. Need a motion to adopt.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Romano, supported by Commissioner Van Sickle. Seeing no changes to the agenda, please vote.
Motion passes 11-0.
Okay, next item is approval of minutes dated October 23rd, 2023. Need a motion to approve.
Motion. Support.
Made by Commissioner Grott, supported by Commissioner Van Sickle. Any corrections, commissioners? Seeing none, please vote.
Motion passes 11-0.
Next item is public participation. This is the first opportunity for public participation for those who would like to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes on any item which is on today's agenda. There will also be a second opportunity for public participation for those who would like to speak on any issue. Would anyone from the public like to speak? Agenda items only. Going once, twice. We'll close public participation. Move on to budget reviews. I'll take a motion to receive and file items 6A through 6E.
So moved by Song.
Support Zinner.
Moved by Commissioner Song, supported by Commissioner Zinner. First Department, Corporation Counsel. Good afternoon, John.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. This is my budget presentation for the Office of the Corporation Counsel, budget year 2024. Before I get to my asks, I want to report back to you the utility of the new position you funded last year. That was the FOIA desk attorney. At that time, I was projecting 1,000 FOIAs in the calendar year. It actually worked out to 1,003 for the year. I was hoping the volume would drop off. It has not. It's actually increased. To date, as of today, 892 FOIA requests this year. That's 21 per week. And we're projecting about 1,100 for the year. The FOIA desk has taken up most of that burden, but the burden continues coming through the door. At the same time, we've responded to 38 subpoenas for all the different departments in the county government, and we're projecting probably 46 subpoenas by the end of the calendar year. During this year, we tried 2 cases, both in federal court. One had an astounding result, something that's never happened to me before. We picked a jury. The jury was dismissed for the day. The lawyers and the judge, we argued motions in limine to limit or permit evidence. The next morning, plaintiffs quit. They walked in and said, we quit. We don't want to pursue this anymore. The case was dismissed with prejudice. That has never happened. I don't count on it ever happening again. Second case that we tried, also federal court, we did take an adverse verdict for $250,000, but plaintiff was asking for $600,000 to settle. So for 4 days work and trial, we saved $350,000 off their settlement demand, and that case is up on appeal. This year we fell short of our projected or desired dismissal rate, which I've always thought should be 80% of all new litigation coming into the door should be resolved without any cost. This year the percentage was only 79.2%. So we fell short by 0.8%. That's for all litigation: personal injury, constitutional matters, elections matters, tax actions, employment, labor, contract actions, and real estate comprise our primary litigation burdens. During the calendar year, we did add that FOIA desk attorney that you very graciously and very kindly funded last year, and I still thank you for that. Frank Crecia went from full-time, finished his drop. He slid into a part-time position. The risk management function of the county government was transferred into my department at mid-year in June. So we are now doing also the risk management. The risk manager position came with it, and the funding for that position came with it, and you did that via a budget amendment at mid-year. Using leftover Frank money, because Frank went from full-time to part-time, that position was upgraded to an assistant corporation counsel because there's far more utility and flexibility if the individual is an attorney rather than a non-attorney. And that position was filled. My asks for calendar year 2024, it's fairly simple. When Frank Creasha went to the part-time position, that was funded with his full-time 2023 paycheck. I need to create a brand new half-time position for him. This is really a net zero to the county because we've been paying or budgeting his full-time paycheck in all prior years. This is actually kind of a reduction in the overall expenditure for personnel, but that is a desperate need, and it's one we can't do without. He is still the best kept secret in government and the best kept secret in all the legal profession in Michigan. Increase in salaries, nothing really, just those dictated by the CBAs. A little bit of increase in my operational budget, again, dictated mostly by increased bar dues. They just keep skyrocketing every day or every year. And an increase in our Lexis research platform licensing, and it's licensed by attorney, not by the office. So that is it. The big ask is create the part-time position. Costs the county approximately $70,000. And Frank is probably worth 4 or 5 times that. Be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, John. Question here, Commissioner Brown.
Thank you, John, for running an efficient office down there. We appreciate it. The attorneys that you have down there, do you have enough? I mean, you've got how many attorneys? Then you got total of.
I've got 8 bodies, but only 7.5 because Frank is a half-time.
So, if someone just asks you a process question, since you're the corporation counsel for all the county, if an elected official is sued or thinks that the office is going to be sued for something in advance, will you be able to assign an attorney to go bird dog it or to help it in advance of the suit being filed, or do you wait until the suits are filed?
We do. We are very good at seeing it coming, spotting the case coming in, and we start defending it way before it's ever actually filed. We maintain pre-suit files on any incident, any event that we can reasonably foresee may generate litigation. And we start defending early, gathering documents, interviewing witnesses, trying to perfect a defensive position long before it's filed.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Perna.
Of the, would you say 1,000 a year of freedom of information?
Yeah, we're looking at 1,100 this year.
How many of those are frivolous?
Very interesting question. The statute doesn't really allow us to call something frivolous. It is
Excuse me, Mr. Shepka, would you speak into the microphone, please?
The statute doesn't really allow us to screen them by frivolous, not frivolous. It just demands that we respond. There are a lot that are meaningless. They ask for very basic documents. One thing I have noticed an uptick, and I blame social media for this, and I'm very serious about this, dating websites. We're suddenly getting a lot of requests for all criminal records for this guy that my daughter met online. I would do the same thing if my daughter was meeting guys online. Nosy neighbor, the sheriff's department vehicles are at my neighbor's house. I want to see the police report. There's a huge uptick in those. And then there are just another monstrous uptick in general distrust of the government. I want all documents of all expenditures for, name your poison. Those are really driving the burden of those FOIAs right now.
Do you respond within government limitation?
The statute says 5 business days. We can extend it for an additional 10 business days, which really is 3 weeks. But no, we're not meeting that because the departments that we depend on to gather up the documents, they're as overwhelmed as we are. We're the bottleneck. Everything comes through us. We respond out to the departments, please get me all of these records. And they're being choked. The sheriff's department is behind by several weeks right now.
So you're not meeting that requirement by state law.
By state law, correct.
What's the violation for us?
If you file litigation, a FOIA lawsuit, there's a $1,000 automatic, what I call a bounty payment. That's a liquidated damages, and you would end up paying the requester's attorney's fees.
Have we paid anything out?
We have, in the 12 years I've been here, we have twice. One was accidental, and this is 10 years ago. The request came into the sheriff's office on Christmas Day and it got mislaid. The second one was actually intentional. That was just this past year. And it was part of an effort to forestall the not the Attorney General, the U.S. Attorney and Department of Justice examination of our jail and its opioid treatment programs. We stalled the ACLU's FOIA request until we could get all those programs up to speed and meeting all requirements. And then we had things to give the ACLU. It was worth the $700 we had to pay to keep the DOJ from taking over the jail.
So your request for 2024 will address all these issues?
Well, we have no choice but to address all these issues.
No, but are they going to be addressed where there's no penalty in your office?
The ACLU, they did not ask for the $1,000 bounty. It was just $700 in attorney's fees. And I thought that was money very well spent to make sure that we're meeting standards for DOJ's examination purposes. The other one, as I said, was 10 years ago. We've had no other FOIA lawsuits.
So right now you have 10 employees?
A total of the attorneys plus 3 support people, so 11 people, but 10 and a half full-time.
Okay, here you're requesting that you need 10.
It's the part-time position for Frank Krisha, which he's already occupying this year. It's funded through this year based on his,
But he's a part-timer, right?
yes.
So he's not one of the 10.
Well, he's a body, so yes, he is, but it's only a half.
So he's a half and somebody else is a half, and it makes you
No,
10?
there's no other half.
There's no other half?
You can't cut people in half. It's hard to,
I can.
it's difficult to express the halftime positions.
All right, thank you.
I know what your question. John, with other speakers, can you just clarify that? Because your recommended budget shows 10 in it. This year, we moved risk management from finance over to your department.
Yes.
Okay, so our adopted budget last year showed 9. So this year, technically, you should have 10 or 9?
Attorneys or complete?
Total.
Total?
Because you're saying 9 and we're seeing 10. I'm sorry.
You're saying 10,
You're saying 10 and a half. I'm sorry, you're saying 10, 10 and a half, we're seeing 10.
Well, there's myself, Bob Gazelle, Ron Laschek, Frank, Jim Sirwick, Molly Zapatel, Dana Champ, and Peter Jensen. Those are the attorneys.
Steve's smiling behind you, so maybe he knows. Typo?
I think it's as Mr. Shapka said, we didn't fund the continuation of Frank Krisha as a part-timer. So today, Frank has 10 and a half, I would say, or I'm sorry, John has 10 and a half, but there's, that half was not placed into the budget or funded in the budget for
So
2024.
the executive has not recommended the half employee to be added?
Correct, it was, because it was considered an addition of a new position, if you will,
Okay, so,
or a part-time position.
sorry, Commissioner, I'm just trying to clarify this because I think we're all asking the same question here. So what is the total amount of that half that you'll need to be adding into the budget? Because right now, we're only showing 10 with the salary of
If that
1364.
half position, or half-time, part-time position was added to the budget, costs us between 65 and 70,000.
Okay, Commissioner Kraft?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. They pretty much asked the question that I was going to ask, but I wanted to thank you, John, for the worksheet that you provided. It's very thorough, gives us a great snapshot of what your department does on a regular basis, your needs, and all that good stuff. I greatly appreciate that. There are several departments that didn't even submit the worksheet at all, and I feel like you went above and beyond. So John, I want to thank you and your team for doing that.
I actually struggle with that thing because I could not capture everything we do without 100 pages. And some things we do once a year. Some things we do 1,000 times a year. I just hit the tips of the icebergs.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Was another speaker, but no longer is. John, another quick question for you. So, in regards to your budget, I mean, it really is not changing except for your personnel line item at all. But you did have savings of about $30,000 in your 2022 budget. Was that just from an employee, from your personnel line item? Was it something specific?
I believe that was the Frank going from full-time to part-time. I just called it the leftover Frank money.
Okay, leftover Frank money. That's how we'll put it in the record here.
I'm kind of literal in the way I think.
Okay, seeing no other questions.
Hold on, one more, sorry.
Oh,
No, I see, you're right, my fault, that's all been, Van Sickle signed off, if I may.
Commissioner Romano.
Thank you, Commissioner. Couple of 3 questions, if I may, Mr. Shapka.
Sure.
How many times do you actually go to trial a year?
2 times this year.
2 times?
2 times last year.
Okay, so,
Won both
so
of
far
those.
this year has been twice.
Yes.
What's your win-loss rate? You've gone twice, you win
Well,
won
if you
twice?
factor in the 80% dismissal, we win all of those cases dismissed. And then in trial, this is the first verdict that we took since I've been here. And that was the 250 verdict, where we actually saved 350 off of their settlement demand.
And Mr. Creech is still with you for that one half
He's
employee?
down there today, yes.
That's all I have. Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, seeing no other questions for John. You're all set, John.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, next item is our ethics board. Dory, I believe is going to present on this. And this is page C32 in the budget. Commissioners.
Good afternoon. Dory Vasquez Nolan, Vice Chair of the Macomb County Ethics Board. I don't really have a presentation. It's my first time presenting on the budget. I'm here to answer any questions if I can answer them. You can see from the worksheet that we presented that we spend very little money. We are fortunate to have assistance from Corporation Counsel for any of our ethics investigations and hearings that we have. Fortunately, this past year, we had very few. And we also are very grateful for admin support of Valerie Shabby, county employee. So we don't incur expenses right now for staff, mainly for office supplies and things like that, copying, mailing letters out and things like that.
Okay, Commissioner Ha.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to congratulate you on your budget. Not a single digit changed from last year to this year. So that makes it a whole lot easier to deal with. So thank you.
You're welcome.
That's it, Chair.
It probably is our easiest budget. Dory, there are no other questions. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next is County Executive, page C23 in the budget. And Steve is presenting.
Yeah, my comments are limited. Mr. Delden cannot be in attendance today. However, Deputy County Commissioner Ray is here to answer any more specific questions about the executive's budget or operation of the office. Very consistent budget, no changes in personnel. Operating expenses are very small, very consistent from year to year. So that's really the extent of my comments. Again, JP is here to answer any questions you might have in more detail relative to the operation of the department, and he's approaching.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Commissioners always appreciate the opportunity to address the board. If I may start by giving a tremendous amount of thanks not only to Steve and his entire team, but Carlin and HR, as they were not only instrumental in the preparation of this budget, but providing a lot of documents and insights throughout this process. And also very much want to applaud your efforts, not only at the subcommittee level, but at the full board, to provide our department leaders and those that help administer this budget every day to discuss more in narrative of the great work that we do. As you can tell, I am not Mark Delden, but I would be more than happy to answer or attempt to answer any questions you may have with regards to the Office of County Executive.
Oh, JP, we were told that you were subbing for Mark, so we have a whole list
Let's go.
of questions. So
Let's go.
Commissioner Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. JP, any question that you can't answer, feel free to get back to me later.
Perfect.
Totally understand. When it comes to personnel, obviously Vicky's leaving us and one of the deputy spots open. Is there a thought to fill that position? I know in years past, there's been like a hold on one of the positions, just, you know, in and out frequently. Is the idea to fill that position once she's gone, or is that to be determined?
Phil, so, excuse me, Commissioner Kraft, I want to be.
I answer to both. It's fine.
I want to be very clear that obviously, undoubtedly, as is laid out by the charter, the county executive's unilateral authority with regards to making any recommendations for that position and filling it. Losing Vicky is going to be a monumental impact for us. We are thrilled that she has the opportunity to head into retirement and everything, but the executive and team are still discussing as far as the skill set in the individual that would be not only best integrated into our office, but more importantly have a larger impact countywide. But undoubtedly, that is a position that very much can impact the work that we're doing day in, day out.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, JP, thank you. One last question. This one you may have to get back to me on.
Sure.
For contract services, can you get me like a number of the firms and companies that you guys contract with on a yearly basis, and also individuals that you contract with on a yearly basis?
Commissioner, I coordinate with finance and we can get that resources.
I know it fluctuates, but if you can give me an average or something like that, that would be appreciated.
Perfect.
Thank you, JP.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr.
Appreciate
Chair.
Commissioner Lucido.
Thank you, Chair. I don't know if you're going to have the answer to this either, because this is my first budget. So I'm actually looking at your 2021 and 2022 supplies and services was around 32,000. And it more than doubled in 2023, and I was just wondering what the reason for that was, and if you don't have that answer, it's fine if you get back to me later.
Commissioner Lucido, I can get you that information. Thank you. Appreciate the question.
Commissioner Van Sickle.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Howdy, Commissioner.
6% for salary increases has been kicked around a lot, and your office personnel proposed budget has gone up over 11.5%. Why?
Overall salary costs have went up?
Well, from the numbers from 2023 to 2024.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner, for the question. So what happened in the 23 budget was the changes that were made to the PTA schedule for full-time employees in 2023 weren't incorporated into the 2023 budget for one of the part-time positions down there. They have a El Lorenzo's part-time position. So that sort of all got rolled into 24. So that's what's going on there.
Is that person the 0.5?
Yeah, it's a part-time person.
Or is there more than one part-time person that adds up?
No, there's the one person, that's the one person whose salary was not rolled forward, I would say, to incorporate the PTA schedule. So it's all catching itself up in the budget in 24.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Zinner.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. JP,
Howdy,
while
Commissioner.
you're here, hi there. I have to ask you this question. The executive has a billboard that's up north. Last year it was about something related to the county, and this year it is also has something related to the county. And I know that's been explained to us, but I've had citizens last year and this year, I've had several complain about it, saying, why is it up there? Do you know the cost of that billboard, or who pays for that?
Commissioner, I can get you that information. That's been a standard practice that the Office of County Executive has utilized for the Macomb Policy Conference. That's not only been able to help us with a number of initiatives, from everything to community mental health, and obviously with regards to the central intake process, and helped to secure $40 million from the state. So be more than happy to provide that information to the board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Grott.
Hi, JP.
Afternoon.
Question. You have 10.5 positions.
Commissioner, can you use your mic? We can't hear you very well here.
How many are union positions? Are union?
I'm going to have to defer to, I can get you that information. That's a very good question,
Okay.
Commissioner.
You have to give me a lot of information.
No worries.
And the internal services, the budget, 366,700. What, can you explain that?
So Commissioner, again, that budget, that line item appears in every department's budget, so that is a combination of a few things. Chargebacks for liability insurance to fund the liability insurance fund.
Okay.
Could be equipment rental in there if they have copiers or newer copiers that are still within
Do you
their.
have like a list?
That was, I can get you the list, that was in my budget presentation.
Okay.
There were two schedules in there, one that broke that internal service line item out by the type of service. And one of those is indirect cost chargebacks from central services departments such as my office, HR, corporation counsel, executive's office, purchasing, treasurer.
Okay.
And so there's a separate schedule that breaks down that component of internal services by central service department. I can get those.
And you predicting for next year, for 25, that the price will go up, the number will go up?
It's an inflationary increase, I believe, of 3%.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, seeing no other speakers, JP, you're all set.
Thank you,
Thanks
Commissioners.
for,
Always appreciate the
filling
time. You guys know where to find me.
Yeah, real easy.
Okay, next department is our HR department. Carlin is here with her team. Budget page C41, Commissioners. Afternoon, Carlin.
Good afternoon. I can answer that last question for JP on the number of unionized positions. He has all non-union employees in that department, so there's none. You're welcome. So thank you for having me here today. I think what we have presented in terms of a budget is pretty boring. We're not asking for any positions this year, and we just have a few areas that we're asking for some adjustments. I made a couple notes on my own budget submission of things I thought you might ask about, so I can just go there first, and then I'll take whatever questions you have after that. The things that stood out for us in terms of the requests that we asked for, we have a pretty significant increase in what we're asking for in terms of our advertising funds for 2024, and the reason for that is just the continued market, as I don't think I really need to spend a lot of time on explaining what that is everywhere right now. So our plans are to do some things that we have not done before, and that will actually assist us with our with Workday as well. So we're looking at doing some things with LinkedIn now, some things with Indeed, and also career fairs that are something we have stepped up with doing over the last year. So that was the ask for us for the increase in our advertising. You see under my fund CS Other, I think if you're looking at the same document I am, we've asked for a lot of money in our CS Other. What we're asking to do, what I'd like to do in 2024 is a dependent care audit. So this will be an audit of our employees and their dependents on our health care. And so we're looking at our active employees as well as our retirees. We had put that out for an RFP earlier this year, received bids come through. We've already done interviews. I do have a vendor that we would like to move forward with, but that money would be coming from our 2024 budget. So as long as that gets approved, that is a project that we will be doing next year. And then really the only other change for me was office supplies, which is just a result of the increase of cost of everything these days. So with that, I'm sure you have other questions for us, so go ahead.
Okay, Commissioner Brown.
That dependent on it, that's a good thing to be doing. When's the last time we did that?
I think we looked, it may have been about 10 years ago. We actually feel very comfortable with the work that we've been doing, especially when we went to the Employee Navigator, which is the system now that we've done like your open enrollments and things through with our employees. We have a really good system in place, but we do feel that it is responsible to also do a formal dependent audit.
how much is that gonna cost us, that dependent audit?
The firm that I'd like to hire, the one that I think our staff agreed would be the firm we'd like to go with, was a total of $65,000. Half of that will be spent out of our retiree fund, and the rest would come from my budget that you're seeing in front of you today.
That'll be coming to us when the contract's finalized?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I haven't selected the vendor at this point. I was waiting to make sure I got the money.
All right, you know, some time ago, there was a commissioner around here that led us through an audit of Blue Cross Blue Shield to make sure that we were being charged properly. If you looked at doing that again, we saved $5 million, I think, was the savings we recouped as a result of doing, you know, a check on Blue Cross Blue Shield for making sure they were charging us the proper amount. It turns out they weren't. We were being overbilled. Maybe that's time to look at that as a way to squeeze some money out of the apple. Have you even considered that?
I'm not aware of that, but of course, if that's something that we're able to do, that's something
It
we
was
can
a
work
long,
with them.
long time ago,
Yeah,
but, all right, it's something to think about.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hi, Carlin.
Hi.
I sent you a few questions last week. I know you guys are busy with workday. Whenever you get a chance, please respond to them when you can. I'm not going to ask them all here. It's perfectly,
Oh,
perfectly
I
fine.
actually prepared to answer.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Well,
I
in
thought they
that
were
case.
for here, so I didn't get into those, but we can hop there. For,
Okay. Yeah, if you want to. We'll start with the retention rate. Have you calculated that out?
Well-
Annual, whatever the range you
Yeah.
computed, I guess.
I've got some details for you. The problem is it's one of the reasons we're moving away from one solution into Workday. Our data isn't that great. I brought Mia Mazzini from my team here. She does the analytics, and we've been trying to pull together data. It's good enough data, but I don't know how accurate it is. But what I will tell you is what we were able to do is kind of look at our turnover rates. That's what we're able to really calculate enough that I feel comfortable enough sharing here. You asked for some history. So based on where we think we're at, we had a turnover rate in 2020 of about 10%. 2021 was 14%. 2022 is 16%. And then so far, Mia was just pulling some data for me earlier this week. We're at 9%. Problem is I don't know how accurate that is because we are obviously a few months shy. You do a turnover report based on the beginning and end of the fiscal year. So we don't know if that's a result of less people leaving. I feel we are having less employees leave right now. I will be surprised if that is different, but it could be. So we wanted to say today with all the disclaimers that, I'm not sure how accurate that 9% is. The impressive thing is when you compare our turnover rate to the U.S. turnover rate specifically in local government, we're trending like 15% lower than what's happening on a national level. So while those numbers to me sounded a little alarming, I actually think we're in pretty decent shape when you look at our comparison.
Well, and there's always the COVID time too. There was the during and then the just post where everybody decided they wanted to do something else with their lives too. So those numbers I take with a grain of salt and not look at them as, even if they are 100% accurate, there's special extenuating circumstance to go with that. So
and like I said, Mia's doing all those calculations. So it's the best that we know at this point.
Okay.
I'll be excited
to see that when we get the actual numbers with Workday and all that good stuff. I'm sure you guys will too. It makes your jobs and lives a lot easier.
And 2023 is a significant year for us. We invested a lot into salaries 1/1 of 2023. So I do expect to see that that's going to result in the turnover rate being decreased as well.
Sure. Okay. One more question for you before I give somebody else a chance. The professional development initiative last year was $125,000. This year it's recommended for $100,000 more. Is that because we have more people that we're training, different trainings that we're trying to offer to different folks? What's the explanation for the cost difference, I guess?
The explanation is you guys cut my budget by $100,000 last year.
I was waiting for that one.
Yeah, I know. We had this conversation before. So
Yes.
we were at $225,000 for the entire county. We spend all of that. It was cut by $100,000. It's significantly, the area I can say that it's significantly cut for us is we do a leadership training. So we select about 40 new leaders in the organization every year. We put them through a 1-year training for leaders in Macomb County. One of the things we've been doing that since, you know what year we started that? 2018, we've been doing that every year. We do what I call continuing education for them. That is something I had to stop with the cut in our budget. We haven't been able to do that. The other thing that we like to be able to do with our training money is we do exit interviews, exit surveys, and so a lot of times we pull data that we're seeing, maybe some reoccurring data from departments. If we've got some issues, we can call those departments and team up with them and say, hey, we've got some money, why don't we do this and this to help, with some of those types of things are the things that we've lost the ability to do.
Thank you, Carlin. And thank
We're
you to
doing
you
bare
and your team.
minimums right
And
now.
I know it's been a busy, hectic year for you guys, and thank you for keeping your heads above water and pushing through. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Van Sickle.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Hello.
I'm surprised you need money for a benefits analysis. I know there's more than one firm out there that will guarantee to save you their fee, and if they don't, they'll accept whatever your savings are as their fee. We'll look at that more when you bring that to the board, but I would like to see that pushed down to zero.
Well, the couple interviews that we did with the candidates, if I remember this correctly, was that they guarantee that they will save us in the long term, in the spend, what we've paid out. So I still have to pay for the study, but we will see that savings in our costs going out because of identifying.
Do they have any kind of, well, we can talk more later, but some of them have guarantees that if you don't save that much, they'll accept whatever your savings are as their fee.
Correct, but they're also, everyone that I met said, I guarantee you we'll save you this money. So we have to pay for that up front at some point.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Carlin, before we get into the second round here, so I've got a few questions. Obviously, our salary line is increasing 6%, so that's a huge cost for the county this year, or what's anticipated for next year. So looking at your budget, last year you said that we're averaging on a monthly basis 30 new employees or 360 employees annually. Are we trending in that direction for this year?
I believe I've got that here. Brian, I don't know if I have that. I have the number of postings, right? Not hires. I have to get that back to you first on the number of employees. I can tell you the number of postings that we're, posting up is, we're gonna actually probably go over what we've done in the past this year. Every year we continue to have more postings up, and even this year we're trending in that way with the pause that we took to implement Workday. But I'll have to get back to you on the number of hires per year.
So last year you also had one additional staff, it looks like, an entry-level HR specialist.
Okay.
Was that filled?
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yes.
filled. So do you have any vacancies in your department?
I have, yes, I do. I have one vacancy. It's my entry-level clerical, which I've actually held because I believe in 2024 we're going to be looking at all of our business processes with Workday, making adjustments appropriately. That's an area that I was concerned may be impacted for the good for Workday. So I didn't want to hire someone and have to lay them off for lack of work. And then our training assistant went on maternity leave and chose to not come back. So that just happened last week. So I do have two vacancies right now.
So the clerical, you're anticipating, based on the integration of Workday, that it's going to hopefully save you that staff member?
I don't know if it's going to save me. I think it's going to save me on the front end. So as I've said here before, what we're so excited about with Workday is it starts from the moment of application all the way through the career. That phase of life cycle today is all manual. So because we use NeoGov for applications, when we hire somebody, everything has to be manually input into one solution. That's that life cycle. So I think that job is going to change, but I don't know how Workday is going to change the rest of the operations that we do in our department. So I've just been holding on to see how I may need to reallocate that staff member.
Okay. And then last year, you had about a little over 200,000 in savings in your budget. Was that primarily personnel?
Not specific.
Must have been.
Okay.
We've
Anticipating
232,000 was your savings.
oh no, it's not.
It was.
It's not.
It was about 50,000 in personnel, but the lion's share of it was about 150,000 in contract services. And that's where you put your money for arbitrations,
Oh.
all that stuff
Oh, that
for
money goes
legal.
in there.
Yeah,
So are we anticipated to spend that again this year? Is that still in the budget?
yeah, those dollars are still in the budget. I don't know how much you're spending out of there.
My legal fees this year aren't that bad, but next year we're expecting to spend some money. We've got all 4 of our sheriff department contracts next year, which could ultimately lead to Act 312 arbitration, and that usually gets expensive.
Okay. So 2 other quick questions. So in our budget, obviously, it's not in your operating budget, it's actually in our appropriations. So you've got 2 items in here. Your professional development initiative and your More Than a Job campaign. Can you talk about those specifically? And I know the More Than a Job campaign was not in the budget last year. I think it was, but not approved. But the professional development was cut, and I guess you're bringing that back to the board as an increase. So can you just talk a little bit more about those 2 items?
Sure. So I'll start with the training, as Commissioner Kraft was asking about. We have a very good training program here in the county. We do a lot of all of that. The majority of that's in-house for us. One of the things that we're excited about with the Workday implementation is we have purchased a learning package, which is like the videos that are available for our employees. We've purchased the LinkedIn Learning package, which will go and work with our Workday program. So we're going to have a very nice library of trainings that we'll be able to offer our employees. The other big things that we do with our training program here, that countywide training, is the leadership program that I had mentioned to you. As I said, we get at least 40 new hires a year. I'm sorry, not new hires a year, but either newly hired supervisors or supervisors who've been promoted from within. And I'll just share with you the topics of that training so you get an idea of what we're investing into our management here. So that's a year-long program. We usually do 1 training a month. We start off with a extensive HR component where we talk about all things HR, just to get them up and started, even to the point of where to go and what's to do. We have a program called Handling Difficult Conversations. A lot of our supervisors are promoted from within or come in, with a different management experience. So we want to try to tackle some of those more difficult tasks that supervisors have right from the get-go. We do a full day on labor law, which is very important around here since the majority of our employees are unionized. It's one of our most favorite modules that we do. We work with the Community Mental Health Department. We do the mental health first aid training. We do that, and we train all of our supervisors on how to apply for mental health first aid. And then we do workplace safety, accident and injury prevention, as well as we do wrap up the year with a program called Identifying the Leader in You. So all things that are part of leadership development, which we think are very important. As I said, one of the other things that we do is we continue to invest in them by sending them for trainings throughout the year, things that we find valuable, or if we get requests from our management to provide training on different topics that they're struggling with. So that's really important to us. And one of the things that I've seen in here in Macomb County, I didn't bring the details with me today, but we see less grievances today than we've seen. They've had a steady decline in the number of grievances that we receive in our office, even the number of arbitrations that we do. And I think that's a direct reflection of our managers being well equipped out there, and also our relationship in our office with our union representatives, as well as the county's, the management's team, their relationships with the union. So that's a big part of what we do. We also do county-wide trainings. So you've probably seen the emails that come out. We've done a series for the last probably 4 or 5 years now. We've started with cultural differences, and then we went with how to deal with difficult conversations, how to optimize communication. So what we've been doing is every 2 years, we pick a topic that we apply to all county employees that we believe, based on what we know, will continue to make us a better organization and better equipped employees. And we require employees to go through those trainings. That's another thing. And then as well from there is just individual things that come up here and there that we can assist departments with. And then the training through the LMS is the last piece of that. So it's an extensive program. Any other questions on the training?
I don't think so.
Okay, and then the More Than a Job program, I think Andy McKinnon sent you all a direct link to the More Than a Job program. I believe that came up when he was up here a few weeks back. Something we're pretty passionate about. We've been working on the More Than a Job campaign. We partnered with the planning department, which has been fabulous because they're so talented. And between our office and their office, we've rolled out a campaign that we believe in, and that is that we say it here all the time, that people come here and work for Macomb County because it is more than a job, and that's where it came from. So our job has been really, I believe firmly that many people do not know what county government does. Many people don't know the different departments that we have or the different jobs that we have, career fields that we have, or who we are. Unless you really know, you probably know very pieces of us. So when we created the campaign was designed to do a couple things: to market us here in Macomb County, that we have opportunities available, but also to educate the public on who we are. So when we highlight an employee here, we highlight the employee themselves, which is a lot of fun to be able to recognize our employees and how great they are. And we ask them questions like, why did you come here? What do you love about your job? And then we get to highlight their job title. So we get to educate people on the different career paths that are here in Macomb County. And then we highlight their departments. So, you know, probably a lot of people don't think about Macomb County when you think of who we are, that we have an IT department. It's just not one of those departments that you really connect with county government. So we highlighted our IT department. We highlighted the GIS planner that we have in the county. And it's been just little bits and pieces. So that got cut for us. We used the money that we came up with in 2022. We used it for digital advertising. We've got a tremendous amount of data that shows that we got the public's attention. Our increase, we had a significant increase. I've got that here. At the time that we launched that, which we went really strong, the very end of 2022, we had an increase of 187% of page views on our career opportunities page from just our campaign. We had also an increase of 162% of users. So we did see that we had more people looking at us. What we're finding now with the lack of that this year is we're really not gaining any new applicants. We're not pulling those new applicants to us. And it's still a very tough labor market for us. So one of the things, and Commissioner Kraft and Commissioner Brown, when we had that meeting about even community mental health, they talked about just trying to get the word out about what it is that we do. And so one of the things that I really would like to see happen through this year with More Than a Job is to hire a company to help us spread that word of more than a day in a life of an employee, and start getting out a little bit more messages about who we are here in Macomb County. But we need money to do that, to really get outside of we're still pushing things on our own documents that we're putting out. Like More Than a Job is on pretty much anything that goes out from Macomb County HR, but to really push new faces and grab some new attention, we do need to be more active on that.
Okay. Commissioner Grott.
You have 28 positions in your department. How many of them are union?
How many are minor union?
Yes.
I would say 8. I'm looking at my team to help me see if they can. I would say about 8. My clerical staff is typically our AFSCME employees.
How many positions you have currently posted on the website?
Currently posted on the website?
Yes.
I have 1 currently posted.
Not in your department, overall.
Currently posted on our website. Yes. Overall?
Yes.
Well, I know when we rolled out Workday, we rolled out 19 postings in one day, and I think they all just closed this week. So we probably have just a handful up right now because we just got done posting a tremendous amount. But it's not uncommon for us. If you went on our website today, all of our positions are out there.
I seen at 18 last week.
18 last week?
Yes.
Okay. I think that's probably pretty normal for us to have 15 or so postings up any day.
Do you know what's the lowest paid positions and how many you have?
I don't have that offhand. I could get that for you.
Because I seen it $14 an hour in a budget book. Different departments.
I I would actually be surprised at that. We made a decision a number of years ago, maybe 4 years ago, that no Macomb County employee would make less than $15 an hour. So I would be surprised to
So
see
what's
that.
the minimum?
I don't know the
county?
minimum. I have to look.
Okay.
I don't know that on a countywide basis.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Zinner.
Thank you, Chair. You had said the number of how many people have come into the county government to work. And you probably said the answer, and I'm sorry if I missed it. How many have retained through the year or for the last 6 months?
Have we retained?
Yes.
I didn't have the number that we hired this year. That was a question that was asked. I had with the number of positions we posted. So I don't have that specific information to say how much our turnover is for just that year.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hey, Carlin, one last question. Your conferences and training for this year, are you trending to spend the 21.5?
Yes, actually, I believe I just spent it. Thanks for bringing that up. I wanted to mention that. One of the things we just did was we have 8 HR consultants in our department. Those consultants work between our department and the county departments, they're liaisons, and also 2 HR specialists. Those are the positions that the one position we added last year. Those specialists support our consultants. We sent all 10 of them, as well as Donna and Brian, and went in through MSU's business department and got them all certified in conducting investigations, which is huge for us, unfortunately, especially since COVID. We have had a lot more employee relation issues. And so our staff, when we were actually in the training, we had one of my teams had every one of them had an active investigation going on at that point. So we've absolutely spent that. I think we're down to just maybe $500 or something left after that.
Okay, great. Seeing no other questions, you're all set, Carol.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Okay, next is Treasurer's Office. We have the treasurer here today, Jaraka. Budget page C61, Commissioners, and then also in our capital improvement plan, there are 2 items for the treasurer as well.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, Commissioners. As you can see, you put us at the end of the agenda because you saved the best for last. The most efficient department in Macomb County, the Treasurer's Department. And as you can also see, I brought my experts up here to explain to you different portions of that department because it's so essential to Macomb County. And I just hope you understand the importance and the criticalness of the Macomb County Treasurer's Department. I'm going to let my chief deputy, my new chief deputy, Skip, start the process. I lost my former chief deputy, my great Joe Biondo. He went to the prosecutor's office, as you know. He's doing a great job up there. And now I have Skip Macarone, who's doing a great job in the treasurer's office. So he's going to start it off, and then we have a few other experts that are going to give you different portions of it. And then at the end, I'll finish up. But I'm happy to be here with all you fine commissioners, and I hope you'll understand our presentation today, because we expect it to be right in line with what you want to receive. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. With the whole 50 some odd days here, I'll say that I was very impressed with the Office of Treasurer and the staff that's there. Our budget's before you. It's fairly innocuous in terms of aspects. There's a half a hire or a half a pay that's going in. We're contributing to that. So it doesn't hit the general fund too much. We don't really expect any future asks for personnel as things stand today, but there are some things you should know about how we operate as you're looking at this budget. We invest in U.S. Treasuries and insured banks only. These are approved depositories, and we weight heavily in U.S. Treasuries because they're going to have the full faith and credit. Deputy Christina Miller's here today, and she wanted you to know, and I'll point out for her, In fiscal year 2022, the county earned $3.558 million in interest on its deposits. That amount grew to $23.3 million in fiscal year 2023, year to date, and we project a total of $31 million by year end for interest on monies. Christina does a fabulous job. Banks set their rates, they advertise their rates, and then when she's going to move around money, she'll look for exceptions and see if she can get approvals for a higher rate than what was advertised in the original bid. She's been very successful at that, and Treasurer Rocca oversees every one of these investments. She times them so that they are optimally timed, that when the money is needed, we can draw down on it without loss of anything in that anticipated investment. And if you ever have the moment to come up to our office to see how this all works, you're all invited. We have exceptional staff. Christina, Deputy Miller also, right now, is overseeing over $1 billion in township tax dollars that are being invested. Now that money is going to go down. We have several large amounts that we have to pay out to other agencies. But at this moment in time, the County of Macomb has put through Treasurer Rocca over $1 billion for investments. And that's a fairly significant number. We have Deputy Treasurer Paige Bachand here. She wanted you to know that in the past 18 months, the Michigan Homeowners Assistance Fund provided $4.75 million, saving 601 Macomb County homeowners their homes from tax foreclosure. Now, this is all coordinated through Treasurer Rocca's programs. Paige and Christina have staff that work under them. They do a fabulous job. And consistent with current case law, and there's some cases floating around right now because we have a separate fund that we maintain, but there's some serious questions as to how that may be affected based on how courts adjudicate it. Nonetheless, Commissioner Rocca kept his commitment this year for $8 million contributed towards operations in the general fund. We also, through Treasurer Rocca, coordinated with the Office of County Executive to put in additional monies for some programming that'll be announced soon that should help taxpayers greatly under other programs that, with the conjunction of both the Office of County Executive and Mr. Rocca, I think will be very exciting. In terms of foreclosure avoidance, there are over 851 payment plans that were encountered this year. Of those, there's a 98% success rate. So we're very pleased about that. As to properties that have been foreclosed for unpaid taxes, where all other avenues have failed to save that property for the owner, Paige Bachand's overseen an online process to bid these properties in a fair and equitable manner. And she has incorporated rules and regulations in conjunction with the Office of Corporation Counsel, namely Frank Crecia and now Molly Zappatelli, who've been very helpful in coming up with rules for these bids that make them fair, equitable, and very user-friendly, and also opens the door for people in certain circumstances to bid on their own property, and in some circumstances have the opportunity, we just had one, to bid back less than they owed in taxes to get their property back. They didn't take advantage of it, but it was there. In terms of work in progress, there's a major plan that'll be announced by the Office of County Executive that's being put together right now and will be before you in due time through the cooperation of both the Treasurer, Legal, and County Executive. That'll allow the assembly of public properties that otherwise might be in disrepair or highly distressed to be very well managed by county government under your supervision and the supervision of the County Executive through a board that will work out very favorably for this county by any estimation. We just had a meeting yesterday on that. We expect you to see something, but that's in the hands of the County Executive, but we appreciate the efforts of everybody. There's also a program that will be announced that will allow people who are in financial distress, when eligible, to have the opportunity for one-on-one counseling to assist them to get out of that distress, as opposed to group meetings where it's one size fits all, which, as you all know, if you've ever bought a pair of socks that are one size fits all, they fit no one. So this is going to be a very positive step, and again, Treasurer Rocca has been behind that, the Office of County Executive, and Vicki Wolber is very instrumental in that also. She'll be leaving, and of course, it is a great loss to the county. As to Martha Teaberry, I know you all recently had to deal with Martha Teaberry. Christina Miller has had great relations with the financial people at Martha Teaberry. We now have a reporting system where we have a level of confidence that there are appropriated funds that you have appropriated that we can pay against. We're working through some other issues over there, but we have a great level of cooperation at this moment in time. Treasurer Rocca has handled that very diplomatically, and we're pleased to report that to you because obviously Martha Teaberry has to operate. We just want to make sure that we've got our signals straight. The budget recommends compensation to retain, and you've heard the HR director speak about the issue of retention of personnel and hiring of personnel. We too want to retain personnel. And at some point in 2024, we're probably going to be going to HR to go over some of the specialized talents that I personally have seen that far exceed the skill sets that are within their job description and the day-to-day work that they do. And we're going to be looking to see if we can make some adjustments. If we do, we'll come back, we'll try to make our business case, you make your decision then. But in terms of more people, I don't see the need for it, given what else we're doing. And one of the things we're going to be doing is a workover of our office. The furniture there is original furniture. It's never been changed. The layout is not conducive towards what the mission is today and how we perform it. IT has been very helpful. We're getting some measurements done. When we do this, it will not affect the general fund. We do have a fund available. The mechanics, if I understand legally, will transfer money into the general fund. That money will then be used for that purpose. All of this will be under the ordinary purchasing processes and acquisition processes, but we want to revamp the office to make it much more efficient. We have a lot of antiquated filing systems that we're now scanning. We're going to be depositing some records in long-term storage. We're going to make it a lot more user-friendly for both the employees and for the visitors who come. There are some security issues that we dealt with. We've been helped very much by F&O, and we appreciate that. Workday, an interesting transition. They never go easy. This one had its own wrinkles. We are confident that the money of the county is safe. We did have some upfront problems in terms of permissions, so we could validate what we were doing with the money. All of that seemed to be within the system. It was just a matter of gleaning it out, and that's a learning process that we're going through. Treasurer Rocca himself is hands-on with that, along with Christina and Paige and the rest of our staff. Our bookkeeping ladies were extremely concerned that what they were doing, they felt was right, but the normal processes for validating their work weren't there, and they brought it to our attention. And we really want to thank the transition people that oversaw the transition of Workday. They came to us, they helped us, and they made the county continue to tick. Steve Schmiegel and his people at Finance have worked with us. IT has worked with us. In the time I've been here, I'm very impressed with what I see. The budget is before you. Paige, did you have anything else you wanted to say? Did I say anything wrong?
Yeah, well.
Go ahead, please. Come on up. We're going to have errata now. Unlike the mainstream media, we actually correct our mistakes. Go ahead, Paige.
I'm sorry. Just one correction was that he indicated that at our foreclosure process, if you owned a property and it was foreclosed on, that you could bid on it. Actually, you can't by law. So what he was talking about is that we do have sometimes the opportunity to clean those up by, in this case that he was talking about, there was someone who had an adjacent lot next to their house. The purchase agreement and the deed never included that lot, so we were trying to assist that person through the foreclosure process and being able to bid on that lot to clean up his title. But he was not the original owner, because the original owner can't bid on foreclosed property.
Paige has corrected me on the law, and I stand humbled before all of you. But he didn't own the property. And that was my mistake. He did not own that particular piece of property. Had he been the owner, he would have been barred, and she's absolutely correct. I apologize for that misinformation. Christina, it's your time to correct me. Anything? Commissioners, I've taken a lot of your time. Mr. Rocca does want to give some concluding remarks. If you have any questions, I can answer. If not, okay. Commissioner.
Mr. Macomb, how are you, sir?
I'm well, sir.
Always good to see you.
And good to see you.
You know, I'm looking at the numbers here. 815 payment plans with a 98% success ratio. Unbelievable.
Well,
You know,
that's,
I see the billboards, somebody just brought up something about billboards out there. I see the billboards out there, and the motto of the billboard in big letters, having tax problems, we can help. And the success is there. I mean, you're helping with 815 people that came to you, especially now in the times that we're having, and that you can set up payment plans and have that kind of success ratio. Kudos to you and the Treasury Department and Mr. Rocca. That's all I got. Thank you, Commissioner.
and let me make it very clear, none of this is on me, to credit to me. This is Joe Biondo, who was Chief Deputy Treasurer, Paige Bashand, Christina Miller, and Treasurer Rocca. This is their brainchild. They made it happen. It's working. It's probably a magnificent thing. And frankly, as I drive around the state, I don't see it elsewhere.
You work there?
I'm applying. I just heard from HR.
Then take some of the credit for it.
I heard
Thank
so
you,
much
Chair.
from
I'm
HR,
all
I'm going to
set.
apply.
Commissioner Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Skip, question about the capital improvement project, the texting system to communicate with the public. Can you describe that a little bit? What does that entail? What's going to be texted out?
Paige Bashan can best explain that to you.
Come on, Paige.
Because I would, but then she would correct me.
Hello again. All right, so the texting system would be to allow we have 4 property tax collectors that go out in the field with taxpayers. We knock on doors for all of the properties we're foreclosing on. What we found is the primary way that they communicate is now by text, as I'm sure a lot of departments are starting to experience. And so when they're trying to send us documents to get on these 851 payment plans, they are having a hard time bringing them in because things aren't in paper anymore. Things are electronic, and there's no way to send that to us via email unless they go to a public library and scan, and a lot of that's hard for the kind of socioeconomic background we're looking at of people that we help. So the texting platform would allow them to take a picture on their phone and send that income documentation to us so that they could apply and get payment plans that would reduce their interest, things of that nature. So that's kind of why it's necessary.
Great. Thank you, Paige. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Great job, Skip.
Not me. I'm
But
just,
while you're
I'm just
ahead,
carrying the water on this one. Done?
No, not yet. I got questions.
Okay.
So, e-commerce, credit cards. So currently right now, you've got a $450,000 e-commerce request in the capital improvement plan. Can you talk a little bit about that? And also, in regards to the revenue that comes into the treasurer's office, how much is being generated approximately based on credit cards? If you don't have the information, you can follow up
We
with
don't
us.
accept credit cards right now. We did have a meeting just the other day. Treasurer Rocca had a meeting with a vendor that has kiosks and wanted to present that plan. We explained to him that we had the issues of Workday that was tying up most departments right now that would be critical to their contacting them.
Skip, can you please talk to the microphone,
I
please?
apologize. I apologize, Mr. Chair.
We want to make sure
And
we get the word on record.
we recommended that they get back to the county in about 6 months and could then present. We don't accept credit cards right now. It's something that we're looking at. If we did, my understanding is that probably the recommendation would be is that the user would pay the fee, not the general taxpayers, for those who took advantage of it. There are upsides and downsides to it, of course, and credit cards are unique in their own respect because there is a right to challenge the payment on a credit card. I'm not sure how that all works out if you're paying county expenses.
Mm-hmm. So we primarily use BS&A, correct? For
BS&A
payment on the
software.
tax side?
For database, BS&A, yeah. That's,
Okay, so if we're collecting that tax via BS&A, for example, in Macomb Township where I live and where I pay my taxes, that's the platform that we use to pay our taxes, and you can pay them either via check electronically or you can pay them with a credit card and pay the convenience fee. So if I choose to do so, I have to pay the 3% convenience fee or whatever that fee is. And I'm just questioning, why are we looking to start to collect via credit card transactions if we haven't in the past? We're using BS&A, which it already has it built in. So I just kind of need more of a plan if we're moving down this e-commerce way of collecting payments that way.
Paige Bashan is going to tell you all about it. Deputy Bashan.
And And my son keys going, and I'm back. Sorry about that. And I think Christina's going to come up as well. So the capital outlay project that you're outlining there is actually for a county-wide credit card system, to be kind of a more universal one. And I know that we started developing that kind of pre-COVID, then it got put on the back burners, then we got Workday, so it got kind of pushed back before. But I think that we were all talking to the IT department earlier about that to get that, and we're working on that. So that was included, I think, in their capital outlay.
Correct.
Okay, so this is to get everyone on board using one platform.
On one platform.
Now, would that department decide if they're charging a convenience fee, or would the treasurer decide that?
Actually, I can get back with you on that. I don't believe that's been decided, but to date, what we've been doing is the taxpayer is the one that's paying the cost for that, the convenience fee.
Okay.
And currently, we're using Point and Pay. That's the processing company that we're currently using.
Okay. The additional employee for the treasurer, which 50% of that cost is coming out of the general fund. Can you talk a little bit about that position specifically and what they're going to be doing? Because this is the only position in the county that got approved for general fund dollars out of every single department.
I'd be happy to address that. Back again.
So I'd love to hear how you got this through.
So, well, part of it is because we had funding from you last year with regards to, you were generous enough to give us the $50,000 for contract services. The contract services position ended up being a little bit hard to work through with HR and everything, so it ended up being a part-time employee. So we already had money to pay a part-time employee to help us with that, and that's the collection specialist position that we're asking. And then for this year, revolving fund dollars to pay for the other half of that position. Now, what this collection specialist would be doing is they'd be our key person for the bankruptcy. Bankruptcy filings have been going up, especially the complicated ones like Chapter 11s. It's a lot of paperwork that comes through. We deal with that and try to fill and help corporate counsel assist them with that as well. The other thing that this position would be key with is all of the Raffaelli litigation that came down. What we're starting to see is a whole bunch of filings in terms of people claiming that surplus. How it's starting to look right now is that we need to know who all of those lien parties are, which we do, we have that, but then we have to know that information for when those things get filed in court. So we're kind of the keeper of that records and making sure that the proper people are filing those claims, processing all those claims. That collection specialist is going to help us navigate all of that new additional kind of legal requirements.
And that's 50% grant funded, or is the 50% coming out of the
DTRF?
It is. Okay. So segueing over to that, so in your budget related to the delinquent tax fund, how much revenue is that fund generating on an annual basis?
I can actually get back with you on that.
Okay. This is the first time I've seen that fund being used for an actual position or expenses being paid out of it through the actual budget for as long as I've been a commissioner. That position specifically, Skip, you kind of highlighted this in regards to financial awareness assistance. I know MSU has a program that we fund in regards to financial guidance. Can you talk a little bit more about specifically what that's going to do and how it's different from the MSU extension platform?
Go ahead. I'm not quite understanding your question. Are you talking about what Skip was kind of previewing with the?
Yeah, so right now, in the budget, you have an operating transfer of $8,175,100. It's an increase of $175,100, specifically related to expenses to the treasurer's office. I assume that's for that position or for that program. So I'd like to know what that amount is going to be spent on specifically. Okay.
So it's not for the position that we're talking about. What it would be is a financial empowerment center.
Okay.
I have been working along with Macomb Community Action with Cities for Financial Empowerment to try and bring a financial empowerment center to Macomb County. And we've also been working with the Office of Executive on that. It's still kind of in process. We haven't haven't finalized
JP, you
all
were
of that
sticking
yet.
around for this question.
Of course, absolutely.
But that's what that is.
This is a monumentally critical program for us, not only continue the inspiring work that the Treasurer's Office has done in keeping individuals in their house, but also help us access additional dollars at the state level with regards to not only financial empowerment, but the whole notion with providing socioeconomic opportunities for individuals throughout the county. By not only creating this center in coordination with the Treasurer's Office as we're looking at staffing options and others dollars that can come in, this is a project that has been spearheaded by Ms. Vicki Wilbur in our office. We are transitioning those duties as she comes out to Andrew Cox, the Director of Health and Community Services, that is not only figuring out the best way to build and adapt this for the residents in the county, but more importantly, to be wraparound for the great services that the Treasurer's Office provides. This is a big one for us.
So Commissioner Romano spoke earlier in regards to the success of what the treasurer has done with an 86% payment plan. Is that
98%?
98%. I think that's pretty outstanding.
Commissioner,
as far as a plan being, say, executed in that manner. So how is this? Are we looking to be at 100%? Is this going to help that 2% differential?
I'm never going to speak for the elected treasurer, but yeah, that's an aspiration. But more importantly, Commissioner, there's more than one bill that an individual has to pay for, a family has to pay for to stay in a house. So when we look at financial empowerment, it's everything from utility assistance, it's everything from food service, it's everything from any of the barriers that individuals that are having complexities with regards to paying their taxes may see or may face beyond that. That's truly the philosophy with Health and Community Services with regards to that whole continuum of care and the ability for us to not only bring our community action agency, the liaisons and the stewards that we have there, and the ability to provide referrals through that system. Having this financial empowerment model that is now scaling statewide, I really think that this is something that not only puts the county at the forefront, but provides more opportunities, financial empowerment, and also individuals to establish a good economic stronghold within their household.
So why isn't this all in the community action budget?
I believe it's by statute.
Because are we going to talk about, will Vicki be presenting on that specifically, that budget? I know you're talking about assistance through community action.
Sure.
And all of the services that are provided through that department.
Yes.
So is this, I'm just trying to understand where the 175-100 is going to be implemented through that. Is it going to be funneled back into that budget, and then this is going to be its own separate budget? I just don't understand how this is going to work, Steve, because this is the first time I've seen it this way.
So the 175 is made up of two components.
Okay.
One is half the cost of this collection specialist.
Okay.
The other portion, which is about 130,000, maybe 129 and some change, is half the cost of the Financial Empowerment Center. The dollars will flow from the delinquent tax fund into the general fund, and as it relates to the Financial Empowerment Center, that flows back out to community action, is where you're. So the details of how that program is going to work or operate and all the parameters surrounding it will be, I believe tomorrow actually is.
Andrew Cox and team have an update on
that. But that's the flow of funds.
Okay. So what you actually recommended, Steve, was, I see why you say grants / other sources.
Funds.
So this is the other source.
This is the other source.
Got it.
And similar, if you look on that list, this is a side note, when we funded the station operator at Chapatin, that's another other fund because it's coming from a drainage district. It's not a grant per se, but it's another source.
Got it. Commissioner Perna.
Thank you, Skip.
Yes, sir.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Question, if we go into the credit card business, we got 5 departments. You got Public Works, you got clerks, you got treasurers, you got jail. Would each department have their own agreement with the company the treasurer's office picks? Because on the credit card system, in most municipalities right now, charge the consumer for taxes, for permits, what have you. So would each department be independent, or would there be one source for the county And who would set the fee, the department or the treasurer's office, as to what we're gonna charge the consumer? Where if the public works or the jail, somebody pays a fine, somebody gets a permit, would that be independently going into the treasurer's office under their ID at the same rate that all departments pay?
Commissioner,
It's gonna happen.
It's a great question, and my answer would be, the treasurer's office is going to make every effort to make sure the cost of this is $35,001 at least, so that the board can decide that issue. We don't know.
So this is like passing the buck?
It'd be a matter that would probably come from the Office of County Executive as a global type approach, and then come to the board for approval as to whatever the arrangement would be. That's what I would envision.
Because
This is
the
not
critic-
specifically within the Office of County Treasurer to dictate to other departments. That would be something that the executive and the commission would help us with.
This credit card processing, because I've been involved in many years, is very, very competitive.
Yes, it is.
Very competitive. If it's Discover, or if it's American Express, or, and the assumption is that we would accept all cards. The fees vary from institution. American charges a higher rate than Discover does, et cetera, et cetera. So you're saying that would go to the county execs to make that?
It wouldn't be, well, let me put it this way. I won't speak for Corporation Counsel to interpret as to how this would flow. What I would say is, with all deference, is that it would be unlikely that the treasurer's office would be making any decision. They may make a suggestion or recommendation to an appropriate body, and then that would have to be approved. It's nothing that would be in-house to us.
So how does that work right now? If somebody goes to Public Works and pulls a permit, they pay a fee.
You want to, or Christina? Christina hasn't had as much airtime. Let's give her a few minutes.
I just want to touch base regarding the credit cards. We do have county departments that do accept credit cards. They all funnel through the bank account. There isn't any issues with that. They have different fees depending on if it's processing fees and whatnot. I know finance has an individual, Pam Charlie is the one that handles that in finance, but we do have departments that do take credit cards right now. The treasurer's office, per se, does not take credit cards for delinquent taxes. So that's where, but the goal is to get everyone on the same credit card processing company.
So what determine which departments have it right now and which departments are going to get it?
Well, if there's a need for it, then they ask for it. I've never heard of anyone being declined wanting to take credit cards. So if that is a need that they have, they get a hold of IT. IT is involved, finance is involved, the treasurer's office is involved. All of us are involved to make sure that it's a smooth process and all the funds are collected and accounted for properly.
So as Macomb County, a friendly county, why wouldn't we just offer it to every department that you can pay your fees, your fines, your bail, whatever, through a credit card? Because it's instant credit, instant revenue to the county. There's got to be some high dollar value there.
I mean, I do believe most departments do have that, have the access to credit card processing. I mean, I don't have a list of who does not have access that is wanting it. I don't have that. I mean, I can get with IT and see who's requesting it and has not gotten those services yet.
But we know for sure that the treasurer's office does not have it.
We do not accept credit cards for delinquent taxes. The treasurer believes that if someone is already delinquent in their taxes, by adding it, credit card fees and interest and whatnot is not going to be a benefit to the taxpayer. That is not something that we have done, is collect credit cards for taxpayers to pay on delinquent taxes.
Wouldn't a credit card payment on the last day save a foreclosure, perhaps?
I mean, based on the way that we handle things, that would be more of a payment plan. I mean, that would be more of a Page question, so we'll tag.
So do, in very rare circumstances, I think it hasn't been executed at all since I've been with the county in 2019, have been able to accept a last minute payment on a credit card. We have credit card processors in the treasurer's office, and those are primarily for the other like fees, like for a tax deed fee, or if they pay for a search for a list of our delinquent properties. So the treasurer has, in very rare circumstances, but not since I've been there, made that determination. But no, we rely primarily on our payment plans. If someone comes to our office at the last minute and, you know, looking to save their property taxes, that's why we have 851 payments. That's also why we have a 98% success rate with those payment plans. So we have other revenues to allow them to go through for that scenario.
I was just looking for the last hour, the last day. Individual that owes the money doesn't have it, but maybe his neighbor or family member says, I'll pay his taxes today to stop foreclosure. You're saying you will not accept that?
No, I'm saying we haven't done that since I've been here. I think we've done it. Have we done it once? I know we had a credit card processor. My predecessor, I think, took one payment that way. We have not, since I've been here in 2019, had to take that. We've had other streams that we could use to prevent the foreclosure.
Because it is a good revenue. I think Clinton Township, they charge 6% to take a payment for taxes if you want to put it on a credit card. So I don't know how much revenue we could get for fees through all the 5 departments we have, but it could be a generated income.
A lot of that 6% too is not a fee that would go back to the county. It's a credit card fee that the processor charges.
Right, but they'll get it. The credit card company may get 2% or 3%, or maybe it's 50-50, but I don't know. I think it's something we should look into for all departments to make our county friendly, that you can pay your bills or get out of jail. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Perna, I was asking this question specifically because I believe some departments right now are charging or are accepting credit card payments and not charging a fee, whatever that service is. So if you're charging $10 or $5,000, the county's paying that credit card company that percentage for that fee. So we're eating that cost.
We're eating that cost.
Yeah. One last question I have is just in regards to the collection specialist. Last year when this was in the budget, we ended up putting it under contract services to see how this position would work out. And specifically, this was possibly going to be a revenue generating scenario for the county. How did that turn out, or how is that turning out for this year relative to making the decision to making this an actual employee?
You're talking about the collection specialist position? Did you want to speak?
Well, I certainly.
Productivity.
Yes, so, I mean, obviously an increase, as Skip just said, in productivity. In terms of revenue generating, this position helps with our auction, and we have generated revenue through our auction services, but also a lot with just, you know, helping make sure that we meet our legal requirements.
So was it costing us money, or did we break even on that service? Because when we decided to do it this way, it was to try out the position or the service to see if it was going to be cost neutral, is how it was explained to me.
I think, yes, the hope was that would also help us bring in a lot of funds, and it did in fact help us with the MyHalf program being able to process that 475 $4.75 million that we were able to bring in to pay taxes.
So do we know exactly how much we generated in revenue specifically to that, or is that percentage, is that the exact amount that we generated from this collection specialist? That was the revenue?
No, that was since February of 2022. That's how much revenue we've received from the MyHalf program since February of 2022. I can get back to you in terms of how much we brought in specifically since that start date. I'd be happy to get that information for you.
That would be great. Okay, thank you. Seeing no other questions, Treasurer, did you want to close with your department?
As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, Treasurer's office is quite complex. We absolutely need these experts that were just speaking with you about some of the important functions of the Treasurer's Department. It's essential that we have these experts, and I got to tell you, we got top-notch employees in the Treasurer's Department. We treat them with a lot of respect, a lot of integrity, and they all know their job and they do great work. I can tell you Paige Bashand and Christina Miller and my new chief deputy, Skip Macaron, are doing an excellent job in running the Treasurer's Department. And I got to tell you, they deserve kudos for all the great work they're doing. And as you well know, the Treasurer's Department is doing great work for this county. And we appreciate all the hard work you're doing and all the approvals that you're doing for us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Treasurer. Okay, seeing no other questions, you're all set. We have a motion to receive and file. This was the last budget review today, so please vote.
Motion passes 11-0.
Okay, next item is public participation. This is an opportunity for public to participate for those who would like to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes on any issue. Would anyone from the public like to speak? Going once?
Under public participation, I would just like to say that, as you can see, I brought my whole staff up here. I even brought up one of my favorite staff people, my admin assistant, Lori. Lori's here. She's been with the county 25 years, and this is her first county commission meeting to attend, and I'm so happy to have her here. She does great work in the treasurer's office, and she just wanted to participate. I thought it'd be great for you to know that we have the admin assistant from the county treasurer's office here to witness what was going on today. Thank you very much.
He's very pleasant.
Okay, we will close public participation. Next is commissioner comments. Seeing no commissioners that would like,
Motion to adjourn.
Made by Commissioner Romano, supported by Commissioner Kraft. Please vote.
Hey, Skip.
See everybody
How much in
tomorrow.
money?
That's a good question.